My sister is now divorcing her husband and staying with me while everything is finalized. Unfortunately, without going too deep into the explanation, my sister lost her pregnancy a few months ago. I talked to my wife before this, and I told my sister that I could find her somewhere else to stay if my wife being pregnant was going to be difficult to be around. She said it was fine, and she's been staying with us in the guest bedroom since then. My wife has lately been hyper-fixated on the baby's health. At first, I thought she was thinking about my sister and did my best to ease her concerns. But today, when I came home, my wife was in the living room crying, looking stressed. First, she told me that she was fine and just stressed out. I didn't buy it, and eventually, she confessed what was really bugging her. My sister was trying to turn into a parent to our kid. Throughout her time with us, she's been calling herself mom to our kid. When our kid needed a diaper change, she would do it and get mad if my wife tried to do it. When it was the baby's breastfeeding time, she would get upset, cry, or get mad at my wife. She even asked her to formula feed so it's easier for everyone. She did more things, but you get what I'm saying. My wife was so fixated on the baby's health because my sister was apparently berating her with things about the loss. Example, "Why are you eating that? That kills your baby." She had yogurt. "No, don't do that. Don't you know what that causes?" Next, she accused my wife of wanting to harm the baby because she was doing everything wrong. The last straw was that day when she tried to tell my wife to stop breastfeeding the baby, then insulted her when she said no. I asked how I had never heard this because while I do work late, she breastfeeds while I'm here. She said she would do it when I wasn't around, but it would start back up again when I left. I sat down with my sister and told her that I'd be happy to get her a rental, hotel, so forth. And I support her in this, but she can't stay here. And I can't in good conscience let this affect people who are also going through hard times. She started pleading with me, saying she would never do it again. I told her that I'd keep helping her with whatever she needed. I suggested intensive therapy or professional help, but she got mad at me. So I said she needed to leave. She yelled at me, but left for a hotel in the end. But now my whole family is on me, saying I'll never understand her loss. And this is normal behavior, and she'll never forgive me for being so mean. I'll pay to help her, emotional support, but my wife and kids didn't sign up for this. Am I the idiot for making my sister leave after finding out what she was doing to my pregnant wife and kid? Not the idiot. As someone who's been through a loss, this is not normal behavior. This requires mental evaluation. You are protecting your wife and your children from someone who has become unhinged, or she already was, and she just took a while to let you realize her cheese had slid off her cracker. Never apologize for protecting your nuclear family, wife and kids, from crazy extended family members, no matter the shape they take or the crazy lunacy they present. Right? They're seriously saying it's normal for a woman who had a loss to try to take over someone else's kids and intentionally harangue a pregnant woman in what sounds like an attempt to cause her to have one as well. Yeah, no, this is not normal. It's disturbing. OP, you saved your family from a stressful situation and offered to help your sister, which she refused. That is more than most people will do when it comes to family. I applaud you for putting your wife's mental well-being above coddling your sister, who needs professional help. Agree. If her nagging and stressing out your wife caused her to lose the baby, would you be able to forgive her? She's jealous of your wife. She needs serious help. As for the peanut gallery, the minute one of them asks you to take her back, hit them with, "If you care so much, do it yourself." Definitely. If your side of the family is so critical of you protecting your pregnant wife and child, why aren't they coming to your sister's rescue? You should undoubtedly reconsider flipping the bill for anything involving your sister. Instead, let your side of the family pitch in. You, your wife, and your child have already paid enough of a price emotionally and monetarily. Stop paying for this vile woman. So my wedding is coming up at the end of the year, and for months my mom and stepdad have been on my case about the guest list. My fiance and I are paying for the wedding, and we already knew who we did and didn't want to add to the guest list before we sat down to our invites. I already had them on my case about my step-siblings needing to have a full role in the wedding and not be treated differently from my sister. But they also tried to insist I invite my stepdad's family. Some background. My dad died when I was 7. My sister was 5. His family was always a big part of our lives. Mom's family was never involved. She married stepdad 2 years later, and his family lived pretty scattered, so there wasn't much contact, but they sent stuff occasionally. He had kids ranging from 8 down to 3. We all lived together, and there was drama because out of all of us, my sister and I had an extended family involved in our life who showed up for the school plays and the graduations. They were not involved in my step-siblings' lives. Step-siblings had no actual active grandparents who they saw. Their mom wasn't in the picture either. There was always some pressure added to my sister and me to make sure we loved and saw them as real siblings, so they at least had a solid, strong nuclear family. That didn't happen though. I love my sister more. I care about my sister more. To me, she's my real sibling, and they are not the same. I already put my foot down that I wasn't going to give my step-siblings roles for the wedding. My sister is my best person, along with my best friend. My fiance has her sister and brother as her people of honor. That's it. That has been a fight. An even bigger one has been my stepdad's family. Mom said that they're my family too, and that means they deserve an invite. I hardly know those people. They're not important to me. It has been argued that my mom, stepdad, and step-siblings would feel more comfortable with a family of theirs present since my dad's side isn't a part of their lives. I argued that it's mine and my fiance's wedding, and we're not inviting just anyone. After a lot of pressure, I said they could not dictate our guest list unless they wanted to pay for the wedding. I know they can't, so it was never a concern that they would offer. They said I had no right to demand they pay for the wedding. I said I hadn't required them to pay. I had just pointed out if they want specific people there, they would need to pay for that. But they can't, and so they need to let it go. They called me rude and said I was using my wedding as a weapon to hurt them. They also called me entitled. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Stick to your guns. Tell your mom that if she keeps bothering you about this, then she could consider herself and your step-siblings and stepdad uninvited. This is your day, your fiance's day, not your mom or step-family's day. So, Mom, you think I'm entitled? You are so right, like every bride. I am entitled to my wedding being what I want it to be, not what others tell me that they want it to be. Screw these narcissistic parents. You did the right thing by giving them a choice. Do you want to add some randos to the guest list? Pay for them? Not willing to pay? Then that's their choice. I'm sorry if you or anyone else are unhappy with that. However, in this situation, the only one entitled to make these decisions is the bride and fiance. My friend and I embraced the "you want that in my wedding, you pay for it" motto when we planned ours. I have a sister-in-law who kept giving expensive, stupid ideas, so I told her to pay for them. My brother wanted me to do some stupid release of birds. I told him to pay for it. My dad wanted a bar tab. Told him to pay for it. My dad was the only one who got his input allowed because he paid the bar tab. I, 21 female, celebrated my birthday this past Saturday. My parents, 52 female and 53 male, insisted, as they do every year, that they take me out for dinner. They do the same thing for my brother, teen. The general idea is that on my birthday, I pick the place we go, and I get to eat whatever I want, which I assume isn't out of the ordinary, but it's important later. There's never been a problem with mine or my brother's birthday dinners until 2 days ago, when I picked a local chain restaurant for my birthday dinner. It's pretty nice, but not over the top, and they had a cocktail on their menu that I was looking forward to trying as part of my first drink. Everything was going smoothly until it was time to order our food, and I asked for a New York strip steak, cooked rare. My dad interrupted the waitress as she was asking what sides I wanted to say, "Are you sure you want that?" I said, "Yes," and he said something about not liking blood. I didn't know what to say to that, so I sat there kinda awkwardly until he asked if I was going to finish ordering so that they could order. I told the waitress what my sides would be, and then she confirmed around the table and got everyone else's orders. My dad asked me something about sticking with steak, and I said, "Yeah, it's my birthday." And that was it until the food came. He started making faces while I was eating and ended up walking out after taking a few bites of his food to smoke until I was done. He wouldn't come back in until Mom had told him the waitress took my plate away, and once he sat back down, he acted as if nothing had happened. I was so upset, I didn't even want to eat the birthday dessert that was brought out for me. I just gave it to my brother and said I was full. After we left, my dad started ranting in the car about how bloody steaks are gross, and he can't believe he sent me off to college to start eating crap like that. Then he asked if I eat raw chicken and pork, and if I bite straight into eggs fresh from the fridge. My dad doesn't cook much at home, let alone steak, but when he does, he overcooks most of it. He's never made a steak that I haven't been able to refer to as cremated. I thought it was just a preference, as I've never had anything below medium well in front of him, but apparently it goes beyond that. I tried to talk to my mom about it last night and how it made me feel, but she told me that I should have just picked something else on the menu after my dad made his first comment, and that I should have known better even if it was my birthday. I'm confused here. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Let me get this straight. He, a smoker, has one of the most disgusting habits to be around, but can't stand to be near a rare steak? Does he have no self-awareness? Talk about dramatic as heck. Your dad has an unusual phobia or aversion, and it's kind of his responsibility to both disclose and manage his issue. Vaguely questioning you is not the same thing as disclosure. Instead of dealing with his issues, he projected negativity onto you and scolded you and ruined your birthday. Honestly, the real monster is anyone eating steak past medium rare. OP, it's your responsibility to make sure no one ever subjects your poor infantile father to this again. Tell this story to every single person you know as a cautionary tale, asking them to take care never to eat a bloody steak in front of him, out of respect. Make sure all his work colleagues, drinking buddies, friends at his house of worship, all of his relatives and in-laws, etc., know this, so they can treat him with the deference and respect he needs. You're not telling them to humiliate him. Be very clear about that. You only want to be sure that he never ever has to see a rare steak in person again. LMAO. We bought our friend Stacy's parents' house 2.5 years ago. They were really sentimental about the place and wanted to see a good family in it for the long term to raise kids, which is what we wanted. Stacy and her parents mentioned that sometimes the house was solicited by property developers, but that the offers were terrible and that her dad would never want to see his home go to one. We didn't think much of this comment then, as we were excited to buy our house and raise a family. During money talks, I asked if they could drop the price by $10,000, since the fees involved were about that much. They said that they'd transfer us $10,000 to cover cost, but wanted to keep the sales price the same. We agreed and bought it. 2.5 years later, we had a baby and did renovations to make the home cozy. Stacy had rented a home next door, and our yard share fence the kids used to play together. During this time, we received letters from developers, but ignored them. Finally, one day, after persistent letters, we called, and they explained they wanted to tear the neighborhood down and offered us a large sum. It took 7 months of thinking, and we decided just a few days ago that we would take the offer. We never mentioned the letters or that we were considering this to Stacy, as we hadn't yet made a decision and felt guilty, considering it would break her parents' hearts. I also assumed maybe she was already aware and dealing with the developers privately. I was wrong. The developers let us know that every house in the neighborhood had already signed contracts, including Stacy's house. After our last meeting, we finally agreed to sell. The agency asked us if we could talk to Stacy, since she is our friend, and explained that they were ready to give her a lump sum and help her relocate if she vacated within their time frame, 1 to 2 years, instead of waiting until her contract ran out naturally, 3 years. Immediately I told Stacy, we think we're going to sign and sell the house, and they want me to tell you, blah, blah, blah. She lost her mind. First, she was interested in the lump sum. Then she asked how much we were getting. She went off on guesses and started sobbing, cursing, talking about disgusting capitalist, gentrification, and how she has ethics, etc. She then sent guilt-tripping texts about how gross money-hungry people are, how her parents paid the fees for our house, and that the house is to raise a family in. She also says she would never do this to me because she's a single mom with kids and I'm kicking her out of her stable home. I told her I cared about her and her feelings, but to stop sending mean texts and that I would be happy to meet in person to talk more. She said that she'd fight tooth and nail to prevent this from happening and screw the developers. She also feels betrayed that she was in the dark for months and offended that I did the developers' dirty work for them. Am I a money-hungry idiot that's destroying her life? Edit. Before I began going to banks, Stacy told me her parents would sell it to me for $100K. After I learned that I had been approved for $175K, I told Stacy this. They then tell me the price is $145K. When they sold the house, they omitted some facts. The front yard connected to our house belongs to the city. They failed to mention that there was a termite problem in the basement. They told me the attic was all set up and ready to convert into a livable space, and I believed them. After we bought the house, several contractors said it wasn't legally up to spec. You are the idiot. You lied by omission and kept her in the dark, knowing how attached Stacy and her folks were to their home. It's known as backstabbing. A decent person would have been honest, and at the very least, let her know what your intentions were. You had 7 months to do the right thing. Also, you can't possibly be this obtuse. Your post language is just blame shifting. Stacy didn't lose her mind. She had a valid emotional reaction to your backstabbing behind. You are the idiot. You gave in to the greedy developers after you said you wouldn't. You also pretty much scammed them out of $10,000. OP backstabbed her friend and their family. Hope the money was worth losing a friend. But it's OP's house. It stopped being OP's friend's family house when the house was sold to OP. Why should the previous owner have any say in what happens to it now? You don't get to sell something to somebody and then insist they keep it forever, even if you want them to. Reading from the edits OP made, they were sold the house with a lot of BS thrown in. The family lied on multiple occasions and omitted important information, like the front yard being owned by the city, which means no gardening or customization in any way, etc. They could actually send the family to court based on the attic alone. Selling the house is a good idea. Stacy and her family can and need to get over it. OP's not the idiot. You now can't afford this house, and it doesn't have enough space for your growing family. If they wanted you to be loyal to them, they shouldn't have treated you like crap. Also, do not return the $10K. I see a lot of people saying it was a gift. It was not. It was money they put towards closing costs and was negotiated upon for the sale of the house.